I'll deal with that later. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Lexcia podcast. This is your host, Wesley Pepper, and this is episode 172, I think. But for the next 2 weeks, don't care too much about the sequence of recordings, because since this event we're talking about today actually starts in a few days' time, I'll definitely put this episode out most probably before the one I planned to do early next week. So I won't even mention that. But today we're talking everything theater. We're talking about the Pitso ya Kalaneng, a call to theater. We are talking with Kamogelo Molobye, who is one of the he's a dancer. He's also got his hand in one of the festivals. And my brother, first and foremost, good morning and welcome. And welcome to the Lexcia podcast. Yeah, man. I guess let's start in the beginning, man. So you got are you part of the organizing committee or part of the organizing, or are you just one of the performers or part of one of the productions?
Yeah, sure. So I'm part of the organizing committee. For context, the Pitso ya Kalaneng festival, the Call to the Theatre, was established last year in 2024. And it was in collaboration with, but also as an idea from Lerato Sigelo, who works at the theatre staff, as a theatre staff rather, with the Wits theatre. And we're having a conversation about how difficult it has been to revive the Wits theatre following COVID-19. And I'm sure a lot of other theatres were having the same issue. Yeah. But what was unique also to Wits University is that with the School of Arts, we work very closely with the Wits theatre as a space for teaching and learning, so that our students get practical experience on working behind the space, working with the technical crew, but also how to produce works on an actual stage. And so it was challenging to think about how can we actually bring back festivals and bring productions here while also keeping the integrity of the space as a teaching and learning space and an operating theatre space. So that's where it started, with that conversation. And together last year with a few other colleagues who are collaborating with us, we decided to conceptualize, develop, and run Pitso ya Kalaneng. And so I'm part of the organizing committee, but I'm also last year performed in it, choreographed and performed in a work. And I'm also this year again choreographing and performing in a work.
Interesting. Just for some context, I've been tracking how the arts has been developing post-COVID. In fact, this podcast started during a hard lockdown. And it's interesting how, for example, theater, visual art, music, and so forth, even poetry sessions, book launches, and so forth, has all adapted and changed. It's actually been quite a hell of a lot of change in our industry, a lot actually. But anyway, that's for another episode. But I just wanted to highlight that. So, my brother, like you say, I can tell there's a bunch of productions over here, a lot of stuff taking place. Can you give us an overview of what's happening and who's partaking?
So the Pitso ya Kalaneng Festival is a collaborative festival. In 2024, when we established it, we were collaborating the Wits School of Arts and the departments of the Wits School of Arts, the Market Laboratory, Tshwane University of Technology, and AFDA contributed works. Then I think for us, it was important to think about how Braamfontein, Newtown, Johannesburg can create some kind of theatre cultural hub. And this year we are continuing with that collaboration again. Tshwane University of Technology is collaborating with us. The Market Laboratory is also collaborating with us, and the various other departments in the School of Arts, the digital arts, fine arts, music, are all collaborating with us, including Drama for Life. And so it's a jam-packed program. And what's exciting me about this program is that it showcases works from alumni students who would have graduated in 2024 and are now graduates, alumni of the Theatre and Performance Department. And I think what's become important for us there is to allow for them to have a point of professional departure once they're done with the school. So they need to start to be platformed in a professional space so that they start to understand what the cultural landscape looks like now that they're done with the safety net of being university students. We also provide opportunities to now fourth year and third year students would have been third year and second year students in the previous years. And so we look at productions during the exam period where students are showing great potential in terms of how it is that they think about the conceptual and cultural relevance of theatre making in South Africa right now, and are tackling quite contemporary themes within the South African landscape. And so we've got productions from third and fourth year students as well. But over and above that, which is I think was exciting for me, is that we've got staff members, myself included, who are producing works during the festival in collaboration with students. And I think what that has proven to show is that students start to also see that lecturers are also practitioners. We don't conform to that idea that those who can't do teach, but that all together we start to make works collaboratively and we treat them as a company. And so we run rehearsal processes as though they are employees or a company going to a full day of rehearsal, so that they start to also get training, practical training in how it is that their cultural industries run. And so from the 10th, actually, it's a jam-packed program with the showcasing a work, Ingoma, produced by Siso Mkhize, who's also a wonderful musical theatre composer and choreographer as well, showcasing a work. The Market Laboratory is bringing 2 works, Bondage and Suit and VVV Security. TUT is bringing a production as well. We've got adaptations of Molora by Yael Faber. So it's a wonderful production, including workshops by theatre and performance staff members and a book launch by Professor Dr. Samuel Rabengai on decolonizing African theatre. So it's quite a diverse program that caters to as many audiences as possible.
That's interesting, man. Let's just take a step back and just explain to me how do you pack all that into a month? So is there, for example, I can see that the first week there's something else versus the second week. Are you catering for different audiences and so forth? Because as you said, and also just one point that you mentioned, I find interesting. You say that it's the theme for most productions are tackling contemporary issues in South Africa. So what type of issues and were you guys catering for?
Sure. So the first week our academic year at Wits begins next week on the 10th. But because we wanted to open it up to as many students as possible, we shifted the program during the first week of the academic term as opposed to during the time where first years are having their induction orientation weeks on campus. Because that would have meant that the productions would have only been viewed by first year students. Yeah. And so it was important for us to think about what is the audience development culture that we want to inculcate in the university, and how can it cater to as many student body as possible while also reaching out to all the other Johannesburg cultural consumers. And so the first week, essentially for the theatre and performance department, is a hybrid of a festival and hidden curricula, if you will, with the master classes, so that the incoming first years get to see how it is that we operate in terms of a festival as a department, but that they also get to receive some kind of teaching and learning during that program. In the second week of the festival, where the official academic program would have begun, we have productions in the evening, and those are by staff members. And so because we are teaching in the second and third week of the festival, the productions are in the evenings, so that audiences of a wider range outside of the Johannesburg precincts are able to attend those productions. And so that's the reasoning behind the split. But I think having student productions during the day allows for as many student audiences to also come observe, so that they also start to engage with each other critically on that level.
Interesting. Now
to answer your second question, I think what we value a lot with the theatre and performance department, but I think the School of Arts in general, is how it is that we can collaborate interdepartmentally. So that's the first sort of contemporary issue that we are facing, or that we are engaging with the festival, is that a lot of arts departments or arts faculties sort of function siloed. Someone in fine arts rarely ever collaborates with someone in the digital arts, or someone in theatre and performance, or in choreography. And so we really are massive proponents of collaboration within the cultural sector. I think that's how it is that we also start to teach our students to think about how to economize in developing the arts in South Africa, as opposed to being precious that this is my thing. How do we make works? But beyond that, we teach quite a lot on the cultural relevance of how it is that people deal with subject matter. So for example, a lot of our students are questioning the idea of rainbowism in South Africa and what democracy looks like for them right now. And so productions such as from 19 to 24 question what is the position and the relevance of the South African Constitution and democracy, and whether or not the rhetoric of democracy in South Africa still resonates true to this to people who were born post 94, post 2000, post 2014. So there's critical questions there that we are asking. There's also a production, Flesh in the Garden, that engages with the cosmology of being Black and African within South Africa right now. So what are the questions that we start to ask when we position ourselves as Black African or South African humans? And so they deal with quite a lot of important issues in that regard. And Molora, which is a wonderful production, which is adapted right now by Tshabang Seholo, who is a wonderful emerging choreographer and director, is also looking at what it means to position one's identity within contemporary South Africa. How do we ask important questions about what it means to be and become within a South African context? And we've got a staff member, Gavin Matthews, who is producing Mimetics. That is almost like a chronological production that looks at the waves of movement and dance within a South African context, and how it is that at the moment a lot of our students consume very short, quick content on TikTok, and how do we then start to think about memes as a way from which we can produce theater making. And so there's a range of thematic ideas in the festival where students are really critical about their positioned identity and how conceptually they can make that relevant for audiences.
Wow, that sounds super interesting. I'd actually like to find out more about that, but I realize that I'd rather not, because there's so many other productions and I don't want to signal out any specific, but that one sounds really interesting. Actually, I wanted to ask a question of a point you made earlier on before we get to all the other formal things. When you talk about collaboration, that you guys are very open to that. Is technology one of the things you're collaborating with? In other words, we are living in a well, there's basically two worlds. There's a virtual world and there's a real world. So, will the festival exist in the virtual world? In any way, is there any form of collaboration like that? For example, broadcasting, live streams, and so forth.
Sure. So at the moment, in terms of live streams, the productions will only happen in the Wits main theatre as live performances. A lot of them will be documented in relation to images, visuals, and videography, so that we can create an archive of that. However, something that's quite exciting that we have introduced in this festival is a podcast titled Not Another Podcast by Masego Mateko, who is an emerging cultural commentator and will be providing real-time commentary, critique, engagement regarding the festival, but also the productions. And I think for me and the festival organizers, this was important in relation to allowing for new voices to emerge through the medium of podcasts, which is easily consumable, which has a wide range of audiences, but to also allow for younger cultural commentators to also provide voice and perspective. So at the moment, that's the first sort of virtual collaboration that we are having or introducing in the means of the podcast. The second collaboration virtual space that we're introducing is more AI, and that is with the digital arts department. And that department deals a lot with the intersection and interaction between the fine arts and digital arts space, and at the moment how AI has an influence also in how it is that games are developed, how it is that we have an interface between audience and augmented reality. And so they're going to have an installation where audiences are able to play games, develop games also, but also engage with the interface of theater through virtual reality. So we're going to have an installation that is curated by the fine art and digital art departments that allows for some kind of digital and artificial intelligence engagement.
Sure. Again, I'd very much love to jump so much because that's my thing. I'm really big on that, and that's part reason what I'm doing on this platform. Wow, I just want to talk about that now. But I'm
next year to come curate something for us then.
I think so, man. Let me just put this point before I move on. This is something I'm fascinated about is how the arts are going to I wouldn't say collaborate. I would say just join or become part of the virtual world because everything exists over there, and there's also new audiences, which I think is essential for our industry, and that also because I'm a visual artist. That's my core. One of the major frustrations with visual art is if you put up a show, a couple of hundred people at most will come see it, whereas if you put it online, you can get a couple of million people within, or hundreds of thousands of people, and the interaction there is substantial. And it's also so what we're also doing, we're busy developing a platform that can sort of adapt to that. Actually, we're doing it actually as we speak. So that's really interesting. Let's jump into the festival itself. I see you guys got multiple venues.
Yes.
It says that all the venues adverts are being taken, and you also were talking about creating this sort of hub within the Braam new town area. So tell me what venues are going to be used and what productions will be, or are there any highlights at the various productions that you can highlight? Talk to us about.
Definitely. So we are using the entirety of the Wits theatre complex, which has the main theatre, the downstairs theatre, and the amphitheatre. So those will be the primary venues that we'll be using, including the nunnery theatre, which functions as a teaching and learning space. And it was important for us to make use of all of these theatre spaces because, like I said, during the course of the academic year, most times they function as just teaching and learning spaces. So we were quite excited to earmark them as spaces that we really want to just occupy in their entirety. And so throughout the whole 3 weeks, all of those spaces will be used. The first day, the 10th, I think we've got a production by a fourth year student in Dange, which is produced by Mandi Pumle. It's an amazing production. She has devised the production and she's a wonderful singer. So it's almost as though it's a musical / directorial acting production. And we also have Ingoma by Sibusiso Mkhize, who I mentioned earlier. And it's an a cappella performance that'll be happening at 5:30, and we're going to close the evening with the Wits choir, award-winning, wonderful choir that is going to perform at 7:30, and all of that is going to happen in the main theatre. And I think for us that was important for us to launch the festival again in the main theatre because it's one of the most important and pivotal space in theatre. The second day has a lot of productions in the downstairs theatre, which is usually, it accommodates, I think, 150 to 200 audiences, if I'm not mistaken. And in that space, we've got productions from the Market Laboratory students, as well as Molora by Tsepang. And in the nunnery, from Tuesday up until Friday, there'll be a musical theatre production, Flash in the Garden by Lwazi Binyani. I was forgetting his name now, by Lwazi Binyani, who is looking at the cosmology of blackness and what it means to be African right now. And we're going to end off the evening with a jazz session in the main theatre foyer, where we are also launching the Wits Cafe. And I think this is quite an exciting moment for us. The program will focus on the Wednesday and Thursday as well. But on Thursday, the 13th, we're also having a book launch at 6 p.m., by Professor Dr. Samuel Rabengai, who is launching his book, Decolonizing African Theatre. And he will also be able to speak about the theory that he's developed, Afrosynology, and how it intersects with Afrocentricity and what it means really to create African-centric theatre, and what the intersections between its synology, its music, and its directorial approaches look like. And the Friday will end with the exhibitions that I spoke about, the Digital Arts and Fine Art exhibition. And we're also going to launch 2 showcases. The first will be a music and poetry jam session, which was actually developed by a student who is currently in 4th year, who opened a company while he was studying in CPM, Cultural Policy and Management. And his company is to allow students from different departments to meet and create a interdisciplinary production that they can then showcase. So they'll be doing a showcasing then. We're also going to have an alumni student, Josiah Wheeler, who is producing Letter 7 to Musai, which is a production on Franz Kafka's letters that he wrote to his father before he passed away. So it's a wonderful first week. The second week I'm producing my work, which is titled 7 Colors, and it will be in the main theater. 7 Colors, which I'm excited about, is questioning what do we think about when we think about home? And when you think about 7 Colors, you think about the meals that bring a family together. Yeah. And so it's looking at the collaboration between what it means to exist communally and the kinds of nuanced and sometimes really complex conversations about family, the challenging conversations that we at times have at the dinner table when we are sharing a meal. So it's a dance theatre production, and Smangaliso Ngwenya will be showcasing his work Fragmented, which is in collaboration with the students. And it's about, again, the sometimes challenges when we have to speak about, when someone goes, "Who are you, Wesley?" And you go, "Well, I'm this person, but I'm also that person, and I come from..." And so there's this sense of fragmented self when we speak about our sense of self and identity, which is also a dance action. And the final week will be Mimetics by Gavin Medace that I spoke about, where he considers what is the current influences that young theatre makers are looking at, and how do memes and TikTok and Instagram and Reels influence how students make dance theatre works right now. And we'll also close it with Letter 7 by Josiah Wheeler in the 3rd week of the festival. And Mimetics will be specific outside of the Great Hall, and it has a cast of 50 students. It's one of our biggest production, and Letter 7 will be in the main theater.
Sure, I'm surprised you remember every single one, even the times and dates. Very impressive.
Months of planning.
Yeah, it comes through. Like you said, there's quite a bit. So is there a website or something where somebody can access the timetable of all the various productions? Is there a platform where people can do that?
Sure. So on Google, you can just type in Wits Theatre, and it'll take you directly towards the Wits Theatre website. There you'll be able to see all of the blurbs of the productions, who produced them, who's performing, who's the co-collaborator. So essentially the full program of the festival will be found on the Wits Theatre website. Additionally, all productions have also been put up on Webtickets, which is also where consumers and audiences can get not just the tickets, but additional information about the productions, the producer, the choreographer, director, and the abstracts and blurbs of those. And Webtickets is also where tickets will be sold, 50 rands for students and 100 rand for general public and staff. And tickets will also be sold at the Wits Theatre box office.
Will there be tickets at the gate?
Yes. So the Wits Theatre box office is the one that will be selling walk-in audiences who may not have had an opportunity yet to purchase from Webtickets.
Just a question on, because there's productions taking place throughout the day. So if somebody purchases one ticket, does that cover the entire day of productions?
No, so each production will be costed independently. Like I said, 50 rand for students and 100 rand for for general public. Unfortunately, we do not have a general pass ticket because it sort of at times has complications. Sometimes you think you might want or you might have availability to watch the full productions, but then something happens that is uncontrollable to you, and then it sort of creates complications. So at the moment, we do not have a day pass, but we allow for audiences to watch per production, purchase per production.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Just another also technical thing, parking people's cars, if they're coming from the north, from the south, wherever, where do they park?
So for the day performances, all of the audiences will enter through gate 7, which is on, I'm trying to think my geography, Yale Road. That's the south side of Yale Road. It's closer to Empire Road, just under the M1 bridge. That's gate 7. And they will park at the Wits Planetarium Digital Dome, now called. The parking by the Digital Dome, formerly the Wits Planetarium, and they'll be ushered all the way to the Wits Theatre. But for the evenings, audiences will be able to park directly outside of the Wits Theatre, so they'll be able to enter from Jorison and Station Street entrance and park immediately outside of the Wits Theatre. And that's for the evening performances on week 2 and week 3.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good. And you say there's quite a variety, which is really cool. It's interesting, man. Like I say, I'm fascinated to see how the arts are adapting to this post-COVID world. It's interesting the themes that you were talking about. Very, very, very interesting stuff, man. Like super interesting. So I encourage all my listeners definitely to go to and have a look. As you know, on this platform, I'm very, very interested in the collaboration with technology and art. I feel that's sort of the last frontier in terms of everything, because everything is virtual except the arts. I mean, like fully that is. So super, super interesting. And just sort of in closing, man, you were talking about your production being through with the 7 colors, through with the food and identity. Really interesting. You say it's a dance production, correct? Can you just give us, man, I'm trying to like ask you to give sort of a trailer to the thing, but like obviously in words. Is it because if you say 7 colors, you're saying food. I'm a visual person, so I'm thinking lots of color, lots of movement and different food, different textures, and so forth. Do all those elements come through?
So think about what the experience of a good meal gives you, right? That the idea of 7 colors is that on your plate, there's literally a kaleidoscope of not just colors, but of experiences, of textures. And so I'm using the idea of 7 colors as an impulse and inspiration of how the movement vocabulary will exist. This idea that multiple genres and styles will be served on a plate, right, on stage for audiences to experience and consume. But in addition to that, I think just visually and in terms of the sonic experience of the work, the idea for me really is to transport audiences to when they really feel at home. Almost like I sometimes tell my cast, when I was growing up on Sunday, there was always R&B music playing. I could smell food cooking, and there'd always be these conversations while my mom and I were cleaning. And so it's that experience. As you even close your eyes, you are immediately transported back to a sense of familiarity at home. So 7 colors exist as this kaleidoscope of experiences that then ground you back to a sense of self and being when you think about home.
Sure. Great. That's great. That's great. In closing, can you just give us again the times of everything? Because I know it starts on the 10th of February and it runs to the 1st of March. But I know there's a bunch of other. I know there's what is it over here? The dance festivals from the. I must get proper glasses. From the 19th. Can you just give us some? Can you just reiterate some of those dates for us again?
Sure thing. So from the 10th till the 14th of February, we've got the Day Festival, which starts at 10 a.m. and ends at around 7 or 8 p.m. at the very latest. The second week, the week of the 17th, we've got the evening production, which will start on the evening of the 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And those productions will start in the evening from 6 p.m. As well as the last week of February, the week of the 24th. From the 26th till the 1st of March, the program will begin from 6 and end at 9 p.m.
Okay. Fantastic. Kamogelo, thank you, my brother. Lots of interesting stuff, man. I think half an hour doesn't give this justice. I feel like I want to talk about every single production.
I think next week we should invite you at the podcast also to come have a table at the festival and really have a running engagement.
Absolutely, man. That's the plan moving forward, because I'm trying to cover as many across the arts, and I'm tracking the data. Especially data is fascinating for me, and it's just a heads up. Like, it's very interesting to see who watches and from where they are. That's also why I'm really stuck on. I'm really interested to see how artists are collaborating with the virtual space, because according to the data on my side, the majority of maybe not overwhelming, say 50 plus, maybe up to 60% at times, and also depends what episode it is. People are not based where the show is taking place. So it might be somebody either abroad or some other dorpy somewhere or something. These people are real artsy fartsy people. These people are really wanna come. So it's fascinating for me. And I would definitely love to do that. I will. Those things take resources, of course. But there's a plan behind it. I've got a very, very specific vision. That's why I invite brothers like you and others on this platform. But let's wrap it up there, man. This has been great. I see also, just for my listeners, there's also 3 hashtags. I will put all those information on the description, along with the Webtickets link and various other information.
Yes.
In closing, is there anything else that we missed that you still feel you need to mention?
Please, to all the audiences, to all the listeners, come through. We are really excited to receive as many of you as possible. I think what's important is for people to know that the Wits Theatre is up and running and is having festivals and collaborations. And for people who are cultural curators, who are theatre makers, who also want to collaborate with the Wits Theatre or bring in a production, reach out to us. We are all ready and willing to receive you all.
100%, my brother. Thank you very much. It is still very much morning in this part of the world. It's Friday. We're recording this on a Friday, so we still have a weekend. I know it's probably very exciting times because you got only 3 days before the festival. So, because I'm understanding, because you remembered everything like just on the cuff, meaning that you are really rooted in what's happening. So I would assume there's still a lot of work to be done and marketing and so forth. But I will definitely be pushing it on my side. I will put this episode out. I'll do it in next week for sure, because the festival starts on Mondays. I think I usually publish, this year I started publishing episodes. I usually publish them once a week, every week, but like in times like this, I'll do it twice. So I'll most probably put this out by next week Wednesday, which is let's just see the date. Give me a second. The 12th. Oh, Valentine's Valentine's Day is Friday, so it'll be around about Wednesday, Thursday. But I'll let you know. And then what I do is I chop it up into shorts, probably about 5 or 6, and then I also put it on all social medias, and that's also a really effective marketing tool. So I'll be in touch with regards to all of that, my brother. Thanks very much for coming through.
Thank you very much. Can I send the image so that I can share it also on the socials?
I will do all of that. I'll be so as soon as and in fact I'm gonna be working. I'm gonna be producing the episode probably this weekend. Not probably. I'm gonna be doing it this weekend. As soon as I do, I'll let you know.
And for today, can I do this? 3, 2, 1. Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, my brother. And
Conversation.
for my listeners, if you got so far this episode, smash that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Anyway, till then, my brother, thanks a lot, man. Cheers, man. We'll be in touch, yeah?
Thank you.
One
Have
love.
a good day ahead and have a good weekend.